If you study the presence of God, you are going to discover there are 7 governments that regulates the presence of God. There's the government of light. There's the government of sound. You can't come into God's presence until you are quickened by sound. And when you come into God's presence, you will discover that everything around God is light. This is why he is the custodian of all knowledge, because he is light. So brilliant that he cannot be approached. Now, if you come into God's presence, you are going to find another government, the government of the waters of the presence. He said there is a river that flows from the throne of God. He said the streams make it glad the cities of God. So that river is what brings peace and stability to believers. That's why we are like Mount Zion that cannot be moved. Anybody who knows the presence of God is not regulated by circumstances, because there's a river, there's an economy from the realm of God that stabilizes him beyond circumstances. If you come into God's presence, you discover there's a government of fire. There is fire. Fire burns there perpetually. He dwells in fire. And this is why there is intensity and intensification in the life of any man that comes into God's presence. If you study Ezekiel chapter 1, from verse 13 to 14, the Bible said the cherubims that stood in his presence, it said they burn with intensity. It's the fire in God's presence they contacted. And so no man who walks into God's presence will be without intensity. If you come into God's presence, you'll discover a 5th reality called coals. Coals. Those coals are the purifiers. He said, in the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord, and his train filled the temple. But when he saw the holiness in that realm, he discovered his tongue was vile. He said, I'm a man of unclean lips, and I dwell among a people of unclean lips. But one of the angels took of the coals and touched his tongue, and he said, your iniquity is past. Because you can't approach his realm with iniquity. He said, thou, O Lord, art of a purer eyes. Your eyes cannot behold iniquity. So one of the things in God's presence is the government of the coals that purify. Then there is another government called the government of life. Every time you approach God, life, the energy of life increases on your inside. Life grows. That life is what is responsible for metamorphosis. He said, we all with open faces, beholding us in the glass, the image of the Lord, we are changed. You are eating of life. Even when we get to heaven, we will still eat life, because he said the tree of life is planted in the paradise of my God. The same way you eat food every day to live, that's how you eat life every day to remain in God's presence. But you see, the 7th government of the presence are crystals. He said, when I looked upon him that sat upon the throne, in Revelation 4:3, he said his likeness was of the order of jasper and sardine. So God hid himself in crystals. Those crystals are symbolic of the mysteries of God. That is the same mystery that the Bible revealed as darkness. It said God dwells in deep darkness. They are mysteries. So you can be looking at God, you will not know what you are seeing until they tell you. If you quickly describe what you are seeing, you will be wrong. Until they tell you what you are seeing from the realm of God, what you are seeing is coated. It's enshrined in mystery. You can't understand it. Now, that technology of crystal helps the light of God to mirror into any dimension he's looking for. And so when God put his throne in heaven, those crystals is what reflects his dimension to heaven. The way you see diamond and it's blinking, because every time he rotates, it refracts and reflects light. Because God is light, hid in crystal, different dimensions of God keep appearing on the throne. So the angels discover that every time they look, they see another dimension. Every time they look, they see another dimension. This being is light. You can't capture him. And so the only dimension you see is the dimension revealed to you. And the dimension revealed to you is what was refracted through the crystals that God hid himself in. So God is that massive. God is that heavy in reality. If you think your brain can trap him, then you are eternally deceived. Only your heart can capture measures of God. Only your heart is deep enough to capture measures of God, because the knowledge of God is experience. It's not intelligence. And this is the realm where Christ was, because this is who Christ is.